Hi, I'm Caitlin. Welcome to a 10 video series that I'm making, just short clips about our IVF process that I hope will be helpful for anybody else who finds themselves in the confusing journey that infertility ends up being. My husband and I chose IVF after a lot of years of trying other options. We got married in 2015, and the first time we ended up trying IVF was in 2023. So during that intervening time, we spent a lot of time going between both conventional medicine and also like functional and holistic health practitioners, trying to get as healthy as we could and hoping that things would fall into place. Probably the biggest investment we made outside of IVF was that we did try 5 IUIs as well. And then I also had surgery for endometriosis. And you can't know for sure if you have endometriosis until you do the surgery, but my surgery confirmed that I did have it, and I saw a specialist for that. So I'll have a video about that as well. But basically, having gotten married in our 20s and valuing a family and wanting one by the time we were 30 and things hadn't really fallen into place, I remember us sitting at a coffee shop and just talking about what we needed to do. Like, what do we need to change in order to really have kids in our 30s? And that's very much like been our goal and our overall view of just our timeline and our marriage and how we wanted things to go. We had hoped we would have kids in our 20s, but as we came across our 30th birthdays, and it was my husband's 32nd birthday, then we knew that we wanted to make whatever investment we needed to and have the conversations that we needed to, whether that involved adoption or any other means. We just knew that your 30s are when you build your family. You don't build your family when you're 45. There's just a lot of more barriers to that. It's not impossible, but we wanted to take advantage of our 30s. And so that is something that we really set our hearts and minds on. And we've made job decisions to help make that possible. We made sure we moved back to the United States. We had been living overseas. So that was just something we had a lot of clarity about for our 30s. And why we chose IVF eventually instead of working with adoption first is just that we both come from communities that really value adoption. And I could list off probably 15 or 25 family members, extended family members and friends who are adopted. And so we value that and we're open to that, but we know that there's this unique window biologically for me before I'm 35 or at least 40. And we want to really prioritize the opportunity to pursue pregnancy and conception before that. And so IVF became the means that we were willing to try. A final quick story that's just an anecdote. I remember being in my master's degree and hearing a friend talk about how she needed to go gluten-free for health reasons. And I was like 24. And I thought to myself, man, I would never go gluten-free, even if I really was experiencing health symptoms or anything. Like, that just sounds preposterous to me. And I had to laugh at that later because I have since done gluten-free, dairy-free, all the different diets, autoimmune, paleo. I've done a ton of measures in order to try to improve my health or problem solve things. And I looked back and just kind of laughed. It's like, I just at that point in my life, I didn't know what other parts of my life would involve and how I might be considering this option at that point. And I would have to say the same thing is true for me about IVF. It's such an intimidating thing. I think one thing that every IVF couple has in common is that they wish that they weren't in that clinic and that they weren't in that room. They would love to be getting pregnant naturally. And I definitely went through seasons where IVF sounded like this foreign planet to travel to and that I would never consider it. But man, we got really invested in our desire to get healthy and to try to do what we could to pursue pregnancy. And so when we had IVF conversations in that context, it was just kind of like the gluten thing. It's like, man, I'm willing to do something that I didn't think I ever would be because I think it's worth it. So I am just sending you positive vibes in your journey, prayer for you and your family and anything you may be thinking or trying to grow through during this time. And I want to encourage you that as negative as infertility has been in my life, it has also brought a ton of lessons. I think it's shaped my character and my determination. And I hope that this whole process will really empower me in my journey as a mom as well. So that's it for today. A few of the other video topics that I'll cover in this series include what we specifically tried before IVF, what IVF is, what embryo adoption is. I'll also have a video on our Panama experience with IVF because we traveled internationally to Panama to do it. I'll have a video that summarizes our IVF experience in Colorado. Then I will also have a video that's just a bunch of resources. So whether you end up watching through this playlist in a row or you just want to click down and find the one that applies the most to you, I'm so glad you found me.